The following story is told from a female's point of view. I've always been told that looking younger than my age is a good thing. This is not so true when you're 18 years old and a student and wearing your casual clothes. I kinda resemble a 12-year-old runaway. My boyfriend studied in a city only an hour away, and we visited each other as often as we could. As a student, I wanted to save money, so I bought a super cheap late-night coach ticket instead of my usual train ticket. I got on the coach and there were a few other passengers. Everyone had a double seat to themselves, and I settled in a window seat and minded my own business. This was until an older bearded guy got on and sat right next to me, even though there was plenty of free seats. I thought I was just an asshole with no grip on public transport etiquette. He started up a phone call, chatting away at the top of his voice, like an older person not used to mobile technology. You know, like it's a cup on a string and you have to shout so the other person can hear you. I digress. I put in my earphones and turn my music on loud and just zone out. A good way into the journey, I feel a tap on my shoulder. Turning around, this guy is talking to me, but I can't hear what he's saying over the angst-ridden crescendos of Radiohead. He looks a little wide-eyed, gesturing emphatically. Not wanting to engage the crazy person, I just nod slightly. As I go to turn away, he leans in and kisses me on the lips. I freeze. This guy has me cornered. I make myself small by the window and furiously text my boyfriend, telling him that he better be on time to meet me at the station or else. Though I may be small, my boyfriend is 6'4" and built like a tank. He texts me back, "Sorry, but I'm running a little late." As soon as the guy gets out of his seat, I push past him and run into the terminal. My plan was to find a coffee shop or a cafe and talk to the attendant until my boyfriend arrived. Unluckily, every shop in the place was shut up tight, so I sit at a table right in the middle, under many security cameras I hoped, and waited for my boyfriend. The last of the crowds from the latest coaches filed out of the station. I see the guy sitting 2 tables away, staring at me. He turns his chair to face me in a slow, deliberate way. He never takes his eyes off me, and I'm starting to hyperventilate now. Heart beating in my ears and gripping my phone like a life raft. I didn't know the city and the coach station is far out of the center, with only main roads and closed offices around. Getting lost in the dark didn't seem like an option. The guy is joined by another younger looking bloke. They greet each other and both sit in silence, staring at me. This went on for the longest 20 minutes of my life, the only sound being the buzzing of the fluorescent lights. Eventually my boyfriend showed up, which gratifyingly shocks the living daylights out of the 2 men, who move off at some speed. I relayed to him what happened, and he was incredulous that I didn't scream or shout at him. But hey, when you freeze, you freeze. I'm much better at confrontation now, though.
This happened about 5 to 6 years ago. I was 15 at the time. Male, just to know. Now, I've heard from my mom about pedophiles, etc. a lot when I was young. Never get into one's car, no matter what they offer you, and so on. You know the drill. I never got snatched, and the older I got, the safer I started to feel. Who would want to rape a pimply teenage boy? At that time, I was sure that the danger of getting snatched and raped was over. Let's get on to the encounter. I was an asshole as a teen, compensating for youth of the glasses plus braces combo, I suppose. Anyways, it was one of those days I decided to skip the first few hours of school to sleep in. So I took the train 3 hours later, at a time where all kids are in school already, and the train was completely empty. I enter on my stop, start listening to music and relax. While dreaming around, I noticed the elbow of a person wearing a jacket a few seats in front of me. After another station, the person stood up from their seat, looking around, and came to me to sit with me. He was an elderly man. Not old, but oldish. 55 to 58 years old, I would guess. Balding white hair. Even though I was an asshole, I valued manners since I came from a pretty good family. So I took my earbuds out and greeted the man. He greeted me back, but looked at me strangely. Nobody has ever looked at me like that. Later on in my life, I realized that it was a look of lust. It sounds weird, but it's something real. You notice it in someone's eyes. As I attempt to continue listening to music, he starts up a conversation, despite my signal that I would like to be alone. He tells me that he's returning from a long night of gambling in the big city near my station. He won big money. I congratulate him and actually got more interested in the conversation, since I had never talked to a gambler before. We engage in casual talk, and at some point, he tells me that his new dishwasher was standing in front of the door, and he could not lift it. If I could get off one station earlier to help him, being an old man and all. I tell him that I have to get to school, and apologize. He offers me $50. I tell him no. He says 150. He really needs help. I would just have to get in his apartment, remove the old one, and help him get the new one up. At this point, I'm getting suspicious. I lived in southern Germany back then. People are very friendly around those parts. You could easily ask your neighbors to help you, and most would gladly take the time out of their day to help. I asked him if he has any relatives, etc. But whatever angle I tried, it ended up with me going back to his home. The situation was getting super intense. I just wanted to go, but I really felt like he would try to stop me if I just stood up. And who's going to help me in an empty train 10 minutes away from the next stop? He noticed that I was nervous and offered me even more money, $200 to help him. No money in the world could get me into this guy's home. He seemed way too murder-rapey. So I figured out the perfect plan. He would not engage me when I was on the phone. So while my music was still playing, I pretended like I was just moving my hand in my jacket, like you do it. After a few minutes of super awkward talk, him telling me I looked strong and well groomed, a new song was about to start, and I unplugged my new headphones. The new song started up on the speakers, and I pretended I was taking a call. I excused myself and stood up, turned off the music, walked out of the wagon to the exit part, pretending to have a conversation with my father. I saw the people waiting for the train as we were closing in on the next station. 3 more to my school station, 2 more to murder-rape station. I decided it was time to make a leave. Creepy guy was waving at me from time to time. I ignored him. Train entered the station. Creepy guy standing up, coming towards me. I literally jump out of the train and make a run for it. I looked back as I turned the corner and saw him leaving the train. I've never ran this fast before. I ran until I couldn't breathe anymore, called my mother to pick me up, and never talked about it again. Don't ask me why I didn't talk about it or report it. I guess I thought it was silly reporting a possible rapist as a teenage male. I like to calm myself by thinking about him just being an older gambler and the need of someone helping him get his dishwasher up the stairs. But deep down, I know that creepy old man from the train. I know that was not his intentions. Creepy old man from the train. Let's not meet again.
The following story is told from a female's point of view. This just happened to me, and I'm still a little shaken up from it. I was on a subway platform, so I could transfer to a new line, when all of a sudden someone comes up to me. I was reading, so I didn't look up until they got pretty close, and suddenly could hear someone speaking. "I really like your shoes." I looked up to see a man standing next to me. He's probably about 5'5" and was pushing about 220 pounds or so. He was a wide guy to say the least. He was smiling at me, and it was pretty unnerving, especially since his teeth were incredibly crooked. I rolled with it the best I could, trying to be polite. "Oh, thanks." He leaned in closer. "Where'd you get them?" Now, I have black Converse, which are incredibly common. Just the fact that he approached me on my choice of shoes made me skeptical. But now he asked me where I bought them. I was immediately on alert. I could tell this guy was up to something. Anyway, I told him where I got them, and he proceeded to talk to me about the book I was reading and how it was one of his favorites. I was going to say something like, "Oh yeah? Well, tell me what it's about." But like I said, I wanted to be polite. But in order to make him get the hint that I didn't want him there, I stuck with one-word answers, thinking that maybe he would get bored with me and back off. "You seem like a really nice girl. See, I'm gay, but I love girls." Now, I was on full alert. I could tell in no time that he was just saying that to get closer to me. He was assuming, oh, girls love gay guys, so I'll just say that I'm gay. So I just nodded and smiled. "I could be your best gay friend. Oh my god, that would be so cool. Do you like gum? I have some gum. We could blow bubbles together and sit next to each other on the train. Do you have a phone number? I could hit you up sometime and we can have some lunch." He was inching closer and closer to me as he spoke, getting right up in my face, smiling that smile, and I was trying to nonchalantly scoot away. I was getting more creeped out by the second, so I just said, "I don't give out my phone number." He started to say that he understood. "You can't be too careful, girl. There's a lot of weirdos out there on the streets." And then suddenly he leaned forward and hugged me. This was going way too far, of course, since he was invading my personal space. But I was so taken aback that I stood there for a second, frozen in place, and before I could respond and tell him to get the fuck off, he started to hump my leg. Yes, he was fucking humping my leg. I immediately pushed him away and backed up, saying that I didn't want him hugging me and not to come near me. "Oh girl, it's okay. I just really like you. I mean, I'm gay, but I just love girls." I was so fucking thankful when the train came at that moment, and I started walking towards the door. He kept calling after me, but I just kept walking. I finally just heard him say, "Okay, I'll see you around, honey," while I boarded the train. I could see a huge grin on his face out of the corner of my eye. I made sure to always check over my shoulder to see if he was following me for the rest of the day, and even cut my trip downtown short so I could get home and shower, because I felt absolutely disgusting. Some guy humped my leg on the train platform under the pretense that he was gay. Hey guys, Unit 522 here, and I want to thank you very much for watching my video. I would appreciate it very much if you would share, like, and comment. And if you're new to this channel, become one with the Unity by hitting the subscribe button. If you have a scary story or experience that you want featured on this channel, you can always send it to my email or post it on the Free Horror Stories subreddit. The links for those can be found in the description below. If you would like to help out this channel even more, consider a PayPal donation. And for more updates, be sure to follow me on Twitter. There's nothing wrong with a little darkness in your life, as long as you never forget there's always a reason to be afraid.